Hello everybody, today I'm going to build a system that generates leads, researches those leads, then creates a personalized subject line and icebreaker, and most importantly, it makes cold email scalable. In the previous episode, what we did is we created our lead gen system. If you haven't checked that, go check it out. If you have, you're on episode 2. And on episode 2, we're going to do an important part, that is the research. Before I go into all that, I should show you a live demo of how it works. I will click execute here, but I'll also show you how the dossier is being built. Okay, let's click execute here, and what it does, it builds the dossier. Dossier built. Todd Roden, Action Global. Who's Todd Roden? This guy is Todd Roden. First guy on the first page, Todd Roden. We are building his dossier. Actually, the bot Roxy is building his dossier. Look at it go. It's getting insights from the web, populating it, researching each and every one of those websites is if it has something valuable inside it. And by the way, I forgot to show you. Here it is empty. The Todd Roden page is empty. It's on company reviews. That's great. Okay, it's waiting for the other node. It's waiting for the other branch. The other branch is about the person. Our report building is actually faster than our user interface. What you see here, the nodes, the boxes, it's the user interface, but still it doesn't matter. And at the end, what it should write on Todd's page is, and it says, it gives us the document ID. It tells us it's analyzed. It then tells us the status is enriched, which is perfect. Next, it's going to Yamini Ragnan, and it's getting built. Yeah, it's getting built. I will show you how Yamini's work, and enough of the chit chat, then we'll go and build this thing. It's on company reviews. Just finished the company reviews. Okay. Actually, I'm pretty sure this is a tad faster, and I'm using my own Wi-Fi, and that is why it's a tad slow, but yeah, it should. Yes, it filled Yamin's. Okay, perfect. Now it gave us 3 dossiers, and the reason I created 3 dossiers is because I wanted to show you the extent of how much information it can find. Because Steve Loveless, you cannot find his fingerprint anywhere. His activity on LinkedIn is low. His general activity on all social medias is low. And on top of that, when you search him to the web and when you try to find some kind of news about him, it only appears small ranges. On the other hand, Yamini Rangan is very famous, and you can find a lot of podcasts and research about her. And finally, it gives us a status update of which clients are enriched, they're analyzed, and their document ID. You saw the live demo. Let us build these things. First things first, we have to find a way to fetch data from our CRM. What we used a Google Sheets node. You click the plus sign over here, you search Google Sheets, and you find a Google Sheets node here. You click it, and what you should go for is get rows in sheet, because it's supposed to get rows. It will ask us for our credentials, and we will fill in our credentials. Then what we wanted is we want to set from which rows and which sheets we want to get it. For me, it's need validation and pure validation. And we need to add a filter. What is that filter? Well, that filter is basically, is this analyzed empty? That is our filter. This column, if it's empty, it should bring the data sheet in. If it's not empty, then it should not bring it in. To do that, it's easy. We just said add a filter. And what are we looking for? We're looking for analyzed, right? Analyzed. And I clicked tech by accident. You click analyzed here, and what do? The value empty. That's it. The value should be empty. That's how we fetch the data from our CRM, our leads. Perfect. Next, what do we do? How do we create a dossier? Also, what this tool does is, this one just limits the data. I was running tests on it, and I only wanted to run tests on only 5 individuals. That's why I set the limit max 5 items. The loop over item nodes, what it does is it cuts up our data into batches. What we typically want is for it to run once for one data. First, we want to research this lead, then we want to research this lead, right? We do want it to research all of the leads at the same time. So that's what this node does for us. It loops it. What the next node does is it creates the dossier. I need the dossier because A, we write our personalized email based on this dossier. B, on the chance that we land this client, I don't want to scramble trying to find out what this individual does. So what do? I go here, I read up a bit about his dossier, and that's why here at Neutral Vista we create dossiers, because each and every one of our leads is a potential client. How do we create the dossier? Simple and easy. On Google Docs, what you do here is you click on the create a document. Then it brings us something like this, my drive. Then you select a folder. For me, the folder is cold email clients, and what the title should be, it's research report, full name and their business, right? First name, last name, and organization. We got the admin part right, and now to the research. What I like about our research is we don't do heavy lifting research on this one. First, LinkedIn, their posts and their profiles for both their company and the person itself. We split our branches into two. The first branch, it scrapes the profile of the company. Here it scrapes the profile, here it scrapes the post. Second branch, we scrape the person's profile and the person's posts. We do that using Apify. I have told you before that I am a heavy relier on Apify, and the reason is I created my own LinkedIn scraper and it costs me more than just running it on Apify. What I do here is I structure the data. Here we want her first name and her last name, but you can see here that it does not show her first name and last name. That's because you have to go one step behind and get it from the loop node. Here you can find all of the information. So what you do here is use the expressions tab. Don't use the fixed one. Okay, next is company profile scrape, and here I have showed you how to connect to Apify, but let me show you what Apify actor I use for this specific one. I use an Apify actor called LinkedIn profile scraper. Search this on Apify store and you'll find it. And previously we spoke about how the two have to talk together, and that this is our translator, where for most of what we do on our research, our translator is very easy, just because the actors are made easy to talk. Next, here, to understand about what this and this does, I have to show you the full picture. In the full picture, what you can see is after each code node, there's either an aggregator or an analyzer. An aggregator or an analyzer. And the reason I put that is because A, the structure that we get the data from, it's very disorganized, and B, most of AI, you have to steer it in the right direction. I mean, if it gets 60% there, you have to help it to get 100% there. You cannot always come and touch this and meddle with it. It should work in a single shot. And that is what all of these nodes are. They help our machine understand which answer is correct 99.99% of the time. That is what the aggregator and the analyzer and the cleaner does. And I recommend for you not to touch it, but if you are good with the coding, if you can touch it as you please. Basically what all of the aggregators do, we get all of these answers, but what we have to do is we have to put it in the correct format for our machine to understand what it is and how to use it. That is what the aggregator node does, and it just squeezes it all in and files it. And next, what the analyzer does, what this analyzer does is it just sees to the data, and if it tells us does it have data, does it not have data, and is our data relevant to what we are searching for. And next up, what we do is we scrape the company for LinkedIn posts, because some companies do LinkedIn posts and we can leverage that into one of our cold emails. Here again, I use Apify, and let me show you the actor I use for this one. It is called LinkedIn Company Post Scraper. Easy. And for this one, our translator is also again very easy. Here we just give it the criteria. We tell it to include posts and no comments. If you want comments, you can turn this on. Like for each one, it will bring the top 5 comments, the top 10 comments if you want to scrape comments. And post limits is 3 months. I go back 3 months and try to get their posts. Maximum post for me is 7, because above 7, no point. Finally, this is what tells the company LinkedIn. Our translator here does little small lifting. Also, the analyzer for this one, it does no heavy lifting. The only thing it has to understand is there posts A. B, is our post relevant? And even on this one, I removed is our post relevant because all of the posts are relevant for cold email campaigns. And now our LinkedIn search is done. What I showed you right now is one branch of the company, right? Do the same thing, take all of the branch, do the same thing for the person. And in that case, it will be easy for you and you will have it done. Next, what we are searching is the web. And again, I use App5. And yes, I know I abuse App5 because I pay for it and I'm going to squeeze every cent that I can. I use a very sleek actor for this one. What I use is this one, Google Search Scraper 0.15 for 1,000 results. One of the cheapest actors you can find on App5. Our translator here, I call it a translator. Its original form is input JSON, but I call it a translator. What a translator does here is also very easy. Ask it for a maximum of 25 results, and this is what it should search for: the name of the company and other key terms. These are what I want to search, and it gives me 30 results. Most of it, it's, I don't know, it's useless. For example, Deaf Village Tulip Tribes, School of Nursing Almunia Awards. That is not important to us. So that's where our code nodes comes in. It filters all of it out and tells us which ones are the most important for our case. And for our case, the most important ones are case studies, success stories, testimonials, client story, customer story, reviews. Those are the ones that we want to capture in our dossier. Then to our cold emails. This code node just filters all of that. This is perfect. Next, this is just a simple wait node. What I don't want the machine to just hit constantly, so I sometimes want to give it a break, and this is the break it gets. Next, this is a set node. I use it to structure the data in the manner I want it. And what I structured it based on the title, the URL, and the snippet. This is how I structured the data. Next, what we do is, this is sometimes effective and it's sometimes not effective, but I still like it to have it in my arsenal. It's the read each of the sites node. What it does is, as much as possible, it goes through the URL, the original URL given to us from our filter interesting stories, and it goes through that and it tries to capture some of the data. For example, it says URL reviews and testimonials, right? Okay, let's check this URL. And what we have is this. What this tries to do, and it's not perfect because most have an anti-bot malware, and on top of that, most either are pictures or videos. For those, you need like additional systems on this. I just like to keep it simple for this use case. What I just wanted to tell you is, it just scrapes this and it gives us you see it says there are videos. It just tries to scrape this and it gives us top to bottom what it's talking about. After it goes or scrapes the website, we structure it here. Let me show you how I structured it. I structured it like this because once it goes through the HTTP node, all of the data from here, it's pretty hard to access it. Next, the clean node. What the clean code node does is, it gives us the snippet so we can grasp a little idea of what this website is all about. Next is the aggregator. The aggregates just bundles up everything into a clean format that we can use at the end. Okay. Here, by the way, it is saying that it is an invalid URL because there is no URL, because while I was testing this whole thing, I forgot that I deleted all of the company websites of the companies I am testing. There is a RAI email address here and the website is empty because I deleted it, because I was trying to show how you can find the website. Anyway, I cannot show this very clearly, but basically what this does is, it goes through the website's homepage and it gives us all the data. That data will be analyzed by this code node to find the text, their about URL, so we can also scrape their about page. Third, the careers URL. This is actually an idea given to me by my friend. He told me that what if we scrape the websites of, what if we scrape the career pages of each and every website to find what job they're looking to hire, which is a great idea. And this, I started the project for this, and I'll add it when it's done. Next, the Twitter URL, because I like to script Twitter because I think Twitter is an underrated way to know what your client is always thinking about. Anyway, it's very sad that I can't show you this. The next one is search Twitter. It won't work for this one. Yeah, this is the problem with interconnected nodes. Let me just show you what I'm using. I'm using a Twitter scraper called Twitter Scraper V2 from Apify stores. You can also use it. You know how to connect Apify. The translator, our input JSON. Simple. This is why I love the research part, is because the API connections are very easy on this part. Here you can see that I want maximum of 5 items. What this does, it just analyzes the tweet, then it aggregates what we found. And here is my favorite part of the whole research engine, and that is company reviews, because company reviews gives me a clear idea of what the customers of my potential cold email clients think of business. I use Trustpilot and Google reviews, but for this instance I cannot show you the full power because the company we're experimenting on does not have any Trustpilot reviews. By the way, this is what's going to happen when you do most lead gen, because not everybody's like a Fortune 500 company or a company that's well known. Most of them are small and medium businesses, and it's okay. Anyway, let me just tell you how the logic works. This too does basically the same thing, but there is two of them because the actor that we use on Apify only uses domains. A domain like www dot. It's sometimes it might need a domain without the www dot. I've tested it out, and this is the best way to get best of both worlds. First, we search using the www dot, and if it comes out to nothing, and this will give us an error true. This branch, the if branch that we use a lot, if it's true, it will then try again with Trustpilot, this time without the www dot, and it tries to get us something. If the error is false, it will just pass everything. Appraiser and the analyzer is just, it's easy. They just analyze it if it's the correct data that we want or not. On the Google Places branch, this time we use again Rapids API. On this one, our appraiser, what it does is it checks for this. Yes, this is what we want. Okay, as I have told you, and as you guys have seen it in the flesh, AI hallucinates. So what our check appraiser does is it analyzes all of the information given to us and checks if it's the correct company by matching a lot of details that we give. And here we searched the web here and it didn't bring anything, but even if it brought something false, our check appraiser will tell us that it got us a result, but this is the incorrect result, which is good. That is exactly what we want. And finally, what we do is we get all of the company reviews we can find. Our aggregator aggregates all of our data, then it merges it. What this node does is very important because I only explained one branch. The other branch is for the person. This hole is for the company. This hole is for the person because we are sending an email to the person. I mean, he would love if we talked about the company, but we should also talk about the person. And most everything is the same. On interesting stories, of one of the things that we filter here is if they have been into any kind of podcast episodes, interviews, were they a keynote speaker, were they on some kind of panel or an agenda, or were they featured on some kind of magazine. We search for those kind of data. Here everything is the same. We get the company's Twitter account from the website, right? But how do you get the person's Twitter account? The same way you find a website and their LinkedIn profile. We search on the web, and from the web we match it based on the information we have. Let's look at here. On the web, we are searching for Sherry McManus, and her account should contain something that says the Lou Everett Group, because founders are very tight with their companies. And okay, there is no output. Really? No output? This is one of the reasons I have so many things researched about a single person and company, because most of them will come in blank, and we still have to personalize those emails, so we still will base it on something. For this case, Sherry is nowhere to be found on Twitter. What this does is it just tells us if we found an X account or not. Here it says no X account found. So this node will be wasted. But when it actually works, it actually searches on the web, it passes the information, it tests it out, and it will match her account based on all of the information that are given to us and tries to find her account. Here it says Twitter null, handle null, because it matched nothing. And here it splits it. If it finds something, if here we go on the false path. The false path means that we did not find the X account, so it's just null here. But if we did find an X account, we would have scraped Sherry's posts and we would try to find some kind of information. And finally, the most important part, it is collecting all that data that we found and just arranging it in a document for somebody to read. That somebody will be built on the next episode. First things first is something that I love to do and you see me do often. It's structuring our data. Here we structure everything that we found into this node, and I structure it based on these information. And once I structure all of those, I put it in a code node. What this code node does, what we did for our code node here is for knowledge sake, what this does is our information here is given to us in two paths. As you see before, it says here that 2, then its outcomes is 1. The outcome should be always once because we want to put it into one document. So what this code node does for us is basically does that for the first. It takes 2 of the outcomes and it combines them to one. That's one part. And the second part is all of this information given to us. Some of them are given to us in the form of arrays, and those arrays are interpreted as objects in those arrays. You don't have to understand what I said. You just have to understand that if we get it on that form, we cannot add it to our document. Like according to how we want it, we cannot add it to our document file. So basically what we do here is this code just snips it up and just gives us our normal string. String means like text. So it gives us into a normal text. So we can just paste all of it on our document folder. Easy. And then our document folder. Okay, here what you use is you have to update a document. First, we use the create a document on the beginning of this machine. Now we get the update because you saw on the demo, first the document gets created, then finally we update it, right? This is what it does. Here what we do is also easy. First, it will ask us to fetch the ID of the document. Everything that goes after here is called a document ID. That is how this machine understands which document should I bring and update. How do we tell it this specific ID? We have already created this ID here. This ID has already been created and it shooted it over like this. The only thing we have to do here is we have to tell that update document, go and fetch the ID from here. Then use that ID and update our document. How do we do it? Well, it's easy because Anything just allows us to do that. We just go here and we look for something that says, yes, create the dossier. Perfect. Here's the ID. You just have to insert ESK. By the way, you can make your research report a whole lot smoother. If you saw what mine looked like, there's all this like lines, breakup lines. It's because I couldn't be bothered to beautify it. But if you want to do this, you can add here an HTTP request and change the words into HTML format, then change it, because when you change it to an HTML format, it makes it more beautiful, more structured, more arranged. Then you just can shoot it over to the dossier. It's easy. There are a lot of videos you can watch on how to do this. And finally, here we have to update our CRM. First, we match it using the LinkedIn. The things that we send is, first, we put an analyzed yes, because on the next turn, we don't need this to be analyzed. So we add a yes here. The second thing is we send over the document ID, because this will be needed for future purposes. The last one is just we change the status to enrich. I hope this was very intriguing for you guys. Thank you for listening. I will give you an explanation for this on the next video, because this is important, not here, on the next video. Anyway, thank you. Have a good day and bye-bye.